Labor's tax changes. Joining me now is Shadow Assistant Minister to the Shadow Treasurer, Dean Smith. Hi there, Dean. So, what do you make of Philip Lowe's criticism that the capital gains tax treatment shouldn't have been extended to risk-bearing assets, and saying this makes it a more redistribution agenda than anything else?
Well, the former RBA's Governor's comments, Mr Lowe's comments in the media this morning, just add to a chorus of other criticisms that have been announced around the government's budget. Last night the Senate passed the budget, but that cemented the Prime Minister's position as incompetent, as a fraud, as a liar. It's interesting today that the Treasurer has had to concede that negotiations around some of those budget decisions are ongoing, and again media reports suggesting that there'll be further backdowns. So this has been a poorly delivered budget, poorly executed, and by the Treasurer's own admission, the government has lost paint as a result of its poor budget prosecution.
So you don't think there's anything worthy in the budget? You think they should start again? Well, I think the headline issues, $77 billion in extra taxes. The budget fails to have a comprehensive plan that will tackle cost of living pressures, that will tackle inflation in the economy. We know that the government is spending at a 40-year high outside of a recession or a pandemic. People understand that excessive government spending puts pressure on inflation, which puts pressure on interest rates, and those interest rate rises are making it very, very difficult for Australian families who are having to continue to live with very real cost of living pressures. So do you think the coalition risks looking like it's just defending current tax breaks rather than offering real solutions?
Well, I think the coalition presented its plan when Angus Taylor delivered his budget in reply speech on the Thursday night after the Tuesday budget. That budget in reply speech was comprehensive. It contained a variety of announcements, very, very credible, that have received strong endorsement from the Australian community. That gives the coalition a very, very strong platform on which to campaign over the winter recess, in stark contrast to a budget that doesn't address the cost of living pressures, that doesn't address inflation, and leaves the country worse off. So I think that the contribution that former RBA Governor Rob Lowe has made last night, reported in the media today, is an important one. As a very, very esteemed former Governor of the RBA, he understands the Australian economy, but as I said, his is just another voice in a chorus of voices that have been criticising the budget.
But he also supported some of the reforms to capital gains tax.
He did, that's right, and we have a different position in regards to that element. But the key element of what the former RBA governor was saying was this. He was saying that the CGT changes will undermine, will dampen people's appetite to take risk on investments that will earn them a capital gain. So in the former RBA governor's comments, I'm saying, my interpretation of those is this, that the government's legislated changes now will dampen people's appetite to take risk, to earn capital gains, and that will dampen productivity and dampen economic growth in Australia.
What do you make of Labor's framing of the opposition and the criticisms as, you know, they're all being anti-first home buyers and anti-young people?
Well, I think that is no doubt the government's political rhetoric. The evidence of that will be seen over coming months and over the coming year. But I just make this point, that Australians now have a much clearer point of contrast between a plan that Angus Taylor will deliver if he's the Prime Minister compared to the plan that Labor is presenting. And people just need to be reminded that yesterday in the Senate, the two parties of the left in Australian politics, the Australian Labor Party joined with the Australian Greens Party in order to pass the budget. Now, I would argue that the Australian Greens Party are the party least likely to be trusted when it comes to the economic management of Australia.
but the government has chosen to negotiate with them, chosen to adopt their economic plan and voted with them in order to pass the budget. That's reckless and that's not in Australia's interests.
Thanks so much.